Welcome to our webinar, Rubrics and Universal Design for Learning to Support Learners. And this webinar is by OCALI. And as always, we would like to thank you for coming and being with us for the next 30 minutes. Please look at the graph that's on your screen now. And there, you can see there'll be an area that you can put questions in. Well, you can actually put your answers and your posts in that area also. And I'll be able to see those and be able to respond. Now, it is just me on this one, so I'll try to do my best to do everything and to post, and I'm trying to watch Twitter also. So there's also a place where you can raise your hand. There'll be a circumstance where I might ask someone to raise their hand if they have a microphone that they know works, and maybe do a couple things as a volunteer. So let's practice the typing part right now. Please type into the question box if you're alone, or how many are joining you for this webinar. And other people do not see your responses in the GoToMeeting or GoToWebinar. So if you'll just type those, I'll kind of look and talk about what I'm seeing on this end. Looks like so far that a lot of people are alone. There's one or two with a couple people. But unlike usually when we have up to 8 in some of these individually, sitting around a table, it doesn't look like that's the way it is today. We do have a lot of people on this webinar. Thank goodness. I'm so happy. We have state support teams here in Ohio that support us so well and help us do the advertising, plus CAST and all of our Twitter friends out there. So we do have a lot of people today on this. So please enjoy. And thanks a lot for all the comments. If you're using Twitter, feel free to use hashtag UDLPLN. And feel free to have a back channel conversation with those that are also on this or may not be on this. But if you don't get answers, from the webinar, there's a lot of people out there on Twitter that may have a lot of conversation to add to this and to the story that we create over the next 30 minutes. I'm going to give you a little warning right up front. This is 30 minutes. It's about getting you excited about rubrics. So you'll be just in this one, you'll just be kind of brushing up on them, and it's kind of fun and it's lighthearted. It's a way for us to have some discussion, and it's a way to get familiar with rubrics again, just in case you either haven't ever done rubrics in your classroom or if you've just kind of thought about it. This is to get you pumped up and excited. So I'm going to go ahead and read the goal and the I can statements in case some of our folks are driving right now. And if I can verbally say things, it helps them out in the car because they may not be looking at a screen. So the goal today is to explore how rubrics can be utilized in the classroom. The I can statements are: I can discuss the importance of rubrics, I can explain the different types of rubrics and their uses, and I can explore how rubrics can be incorporated into the classroom. So the next thing we're going to do is a quick poll question. So I'm going to get that poll question up for us. Who uses rubrics now? And I've just launched the poll, so feel free to fill in one of those. The polls kind of keep everybody awake out there, I think, too. So, we like to intersperse polls. So be on your toes and ready to do them. So 85% responded so far. This is a very quick response rate for this webinar, it looks like. 88%, I'm going to shut it down in 3, 2, 1. And I am going to share the results. And as everybody can see, I use them all the time, 20%. I sometimes use them 70%. I do not use them at all at 3%. And what is a rubric? 7%. So you know what? There's going to be at least 10% that learned something today. So the rest of you probably will too. So I'm going to close that out. And we'll get back to our presentation. Hopefully everybody's familiar with the UDL guidelines. As you look at the arrows, they start very gradually on the left of each colored block, and they start light and then they get darker as they progress downward. So, the importance of that is it's moving us toward the bottom of that where it says resourceful, knowledgeable learners, strategic, goal-directed learners, and purposeful, motivated learners. This is just a reminder that, with the Universal Design for Learning guidelines, and those of you that use this as a structured to, within your districts, I want you to think about how the rubrics can support our learners using this UDL framework and the things that happen and go on. And just a reminder, the files are at the bottom of the control panel if you want to download any of those to help your learning as we go. This is just another sheet to kind of show you how the guidelines look differently. I still prefer the older one, which was the first one. I'm going to read the cartoon. Rubrics, I never give my students rubrics. That's equivalent to cheating. I might as well write their essays for them. College students should understand that they're expected to perform certain undisclosed outcomes. The point of learning is to keep them guessing about their criteria, so they'll work harder in their desperation not to fail. Stress facilitates success. Besides, if I give them a rubric, I have to admit that I decided their grades with a dartboard. In that last picture, it shows her with a dartboard throwing the darts at letters for those that are driving in their cars. Kind of cute. And any of you could make that. It is located on stripgenerator.com in case you're interested in making your own. So what success have you had with rubrics? Take a minute for silent think time, and then you're invited to share with us in the question area how you've used rubrics in the past and how successful were you doing that. So just put that in your question box as a response to my question. And as those responses come up, I will start reading a few of them. With adults to help them understand their implementation of UDL, one person commented that's how they use a rubric. To be more efficient and fair with grading, this person teaches at the graduate level. So there's sometimes an equity issue there. Some use them with students to help them understand the requirements of an assignment. Some teachers use them for stations. The students know what the expectations are and what is to be accomplished when they're finished. To keep consistency with grading. All students seem to really appreciate knowing exactly what the expectations are and how to reach the goal. As an evaluative tool to measure IEP goals and objectives and progress. My students needed to demonstrate their ability to understand research articles. They were able to show their understanding in any ways they wanted. I just gave them the required parameters via the rubric. Well, we're getting a lot of good ones in here. One rubric based on course outcomes that each project can be graded by using the rubric. To see the grades and the progress in the class over time. Give the students ownership of their own learning. A roadmap for goals and expectations. To make grading criteria clear. I'm going to read a couple more. Allow students to work at their own pace and be successful. And rubrics have helped me personally understand the goal and the steps to get there. It was the last person's one that I'm going to read. So those are very good, very nice. And by the way, I do want to mention we have quite a few great people with us. Everybody that's with us is great, of course, but we do have some folks from all around the world. As usual, I guess. We also have Louis Lord Nelson with us, who, as we all know, is a wonderful guru of UDL, and think of her as a UDL ninja. And, it's just great to have her. It's great to have some of our state support team members from Ohio with us. And it's always good to see all the different government folks from around the United States that's with us, with the Department of Education and things like that. So, again, we're so happy that everybody's here. Let's move on. So the definition for a rubric. A rubric defines the features of work that constitute quality. It is the mechanism for judging the quality of student work. Now, it can also be used, for formative feedback. It can, there's lots of things that a rubric, can be used for. So we don't want to really lock it into just one thing. There's 4 types of rubrics: analytic, holistic, task, specific, and general rubrics. So if folks weren't aware of that, that's kind of an interesting thought when you're thinking about rubrics, because a lot of times people only think about one type of rubric. So when we consider the parts all together to come up with a single judgment of how good the product or the performance overall is, then it's considered holistic or whole. When we analyze the product or the performance by looking at each of its relevant components or parts, we of course think of analytical with parts. It's been a few years ago that we were talking about rubrics, and there was somebody wanted kind of a way to think about rubrics, but outside the educational realm. So used this, and it seemed to go over well with some folks. Let's see how well it goes over with everybody else once we get there. So consider a car engine. How well the engine runs overall can be judged, such as a judgment is holistic, because you're looking at the whole engine as a whole. The engine consists of parts that work together to make the whole engine run well or poorly. They can be examined separately for quality. This would be analytic. So for those of you that are trying to, conceptualize the different things, then, try to think of an engine as whole and the analytic as the parts that go on the engine. Just another way to think about it. So as you think about that car engine, how well the engine runs overall can be judged. Such judgment is holistic again, and the engine consists of parts that work together to make the whole engine run well or poorly. They can be examined separately for quality. This would be analytic. So, as you think about that, again, keep that in mind. On to the task-specific rubric. So the task-specific rubric, think of those specific to single tasks. There would be a unique scoring guide tailored to each individual task. So as we look at this carburetor, it might be the opening of one of those holes at the top to let gas spray in. So we may just be looking individually at how that little thing opens and closes. That would be task specific. Then when we think about the general rubrics, those that can be used to judge the quality across similar tasks. So sometimes I remember, with the implementation of universal design for learning, the big question was, how do we grade this, or how do we do this? What's the fair way? And rubrics are a great way to do it. And one of the big questions that would come up a lot of times was, well, you can't do a rubric for everything. That's correct. You can't do a rubric for everything. However, there's different types of rubrics, and some rubrics cover more than, as we just discussed, than small things. And a lot of teachers can just tweak different rubrics and be able to do a lot of different things with them. So what I've heard is, the rubrics really save me a lot of time. They're fair. It really blends well with the Universal Design for Learning framework and all the things that students do when we give them options and ways to do things. So try to keep all those things in mind. So rubrics in Universal Design for Learning. Students can use the rubrics to self-assess. The students can answer the essential questions with their own big ideas. This empowers the students. And what we've done there is we've taken the statement, and then we went and we looked at the Universal Design for Learning framework, and we've just focused for this webinar in one area of one principle. I won't tell you which one at this point, but it kind of tells you at the bottom. But anyway, guideline 7 is provide options for recruiting interest, and guideline 8 is provide options for sustaining effort and persistence. And if you go dive into those and look at the checkpoints and stuff, you'll see how all that fits together very nicely. So ultimately, we want students to grow to be independent. For them to do that, they have to have a sense of what the criteria are that make them successful. For a long time, that criteria has been a mystery to students, which we don't want it to be a mystery. So under UDL Guideline 9, provide options for self-regulation. We want our students to be able to self-regulate, and to be able to do that, we can't keep them in the dark as to what is needed for a good grade. When is a rubric needed? That's one of those questions we hear a lot. Well, any assessment or project that asks students to construct a response longer than a few words rather than selecting an answer from a list would probably be a good place to start. Rubrics in Universal Design for Learning. Students can use the rubrics to self-assess. The students can answer the essential questions with their own big ideas. This empowers our students. With everything going on with curriculum and with standards and all those different things that we deal with every day, why not make it easier on ourselves and, try to implement some rubrics? And here you can see under guideline 7, provide options for recruiting interest. 8, provide options for sustaining effort and persistence. Guideline 9, provide options for self-regulation. And then checkpoint 9.3, which goes even deeper, for that developed self-assessment and reflection. If we need our students to do all these things for lifelong learning and to get them ready for college, we have to have a way for them to learn. So rubrics are a great answer. Let's do a quick poll just to make sure everybody out there is still following along. So here we go. So which kind of rubric would you be more likely to use in the future? If you were going to use a rubric, let's say this week, which one would it be if you wanted to get started back using rubrics? 46% have voted, 56% have voted. Let's hope everybody's still awake out there. We have a lot of people online. I can't believe how many people. This is great. We have people from Bartholomew, Indiana on here also. Okay, we're at 69%. I'll give it another 20 seconds. Reach out and say hi to Pamela from Chile. Tina from Bartholomew. Great having all of you here. Barb and Lisa from our SSTs. And Lindsay. I know I'll probably miss a few names. There's a lot of them on here. Okay, I'm going to close it in 3, 2, 1. Close the poll and share the results. So it looks like, oh wow, we're close. Holistic, which is whole, 46%, and analytical by the parts, 54%. Thank you so much for participating in the poll. Okay, so one response was rubrics took away all the fear of the unknown. It took away all the worry of failing and opened up the students' minds to the joy of creative process and learning. It puts control back into the student's hand, and we can all sit back and watch the engagement soar. So if you haven't already noticed, this presentation really with rubrics has been centered on the UDL principle of engagement. I didn't even look at the other two, which we could also have done, but I don't think we could have done it all in 30 minutes. So there had to be a choice. Okay, so here's a fun thing to do. Feel free, you can do it now, you can wait and do it later. It's when you have time before, if you could do it by tomorrow at 12 o'clock, because I have to go in and pull them all and then put them in a link for everybody. But if you've got a rubric that you'd really like to share, all you have to do is go to this link and drop it, okay? Just drop that rubric right in that link, and I'd be more than happy to take what's in the file, drop them in a place, and send the link out with the thank you, and people can go in and look through the rubrics that everybody's shared. So at this point, I would say if everybody shared one, we'd probably be looking at close to 100 rubrics that's online right now. So that would be great. Even if a few of you shared, we'd at least have a few rubrics that might be some favorites. So please do that when you have a chance. Share some rubrics because everybody would appreciate it. So which of these reasons are important to you? And you can just think about this in your mind. But is it the importance of reliability, the validity of assessment, reduction of bias and grading, clarifying goals for you as the teacher, communicating expectations to students, and you can read the rest. But you know what? A lot of these you already offered when you said you use rubrics, and we had the discussion around the rubrics and why you sometimes use them. I don't think these are anywhere different than the ones you've already mentioned, which I think is great. Means we're right on track. Okay, one of the downloads that you have, and of course there's a QR code here and also a bit.ly link, but this is the gold standard as far as rubrics and some of the things that can be shared. So as you look at these, the gold one on here is the first one. And if anybody knows Kathy Schrock, then you know that she's got some of the best stuff out there on the internet. And she has got, and her links in this as one of them, and she has got assessment and rubric information, tons. And that's the first link. You may never get to the other links on this page, but hopefully you push yourself and you do look through these because you don't want to create something from scratch when you can pull it and then just tweak it a little bit. So, always try to keep that in mind. And the discussion that kept going on as I was talking has really been great. Somebody said something about the car. I like the car engine analogy. Thank you. Thank you. Some use both rubrics at the same stations. People like the self-assessments and checklists. Okay, great information to know. Now, again, this is the same resource QR code and the same code for the other. I just put it in there twice in case somebody missed it. And then again, these will be in the thank you that you get 24 hours from now or close to 4 o'clock tomorrow. So here's the walk-away question that I want you to think about and have self-reflection on, because we know that it's important. All the research points to how important it is to self-reflect and group reflect. So I'm going to read this for you in case you're driving in a car. What evidence would it take to convince you that using rubrics with learning-based criteria in your classroom would enhance learning of content, outcomes, and improve students' learning skills as well? And then how can you get that evidence in your own classroom? How can you implement a rubric here or there and then collect some information, collect some data, and do some, kind of some phenomenal type of gathering of evidence? Maybe even action research. If you've never tried action research, it is very, very powerful. And I'm getting comments here. I love the self-reflections. Very nice. Okay. The next webinar is going to be a brand new webinar that I have not seen done before, but we're going to attempt it. Anyway, it's called The Power of Questions in a Universal Design for Learning Environment. And, make sure you sign up before you forget. As soon as you get off the webinar and you do our survey, jump in there, get signed up for this one. I think it's going to be an exciting webinar. It's always fun to pilot a new one and then see what people think and then make some corrections and tweak it and make it better. So I guess we'll find out. If it's not that good the first round, well, it just isn't good yet. Remember, growth mindset, yet. So, and then I have to remind you to, if you would, and you'd like to learn more about all these things, jump on #UDL chat. It's a Twitter chat that we have at 9 p.m. Eastern time every first and third Wednesday. And it really is fun and it's exciting. And yes, it does go fast, but it's well worth your time. Guarantee it's worth your time. You'll enjoy it. So with that said, as always, our hope is you've gained some more knowledge on rubrics and the universal design for learning to support learners. We understand this is only 30 minutes. However, in our profession, the real learning comes after the webinar, during the discussion and the reflection with colleagues. We know your time's precious and we want to make every minute worth your time. So thank you so much for attending. We hope your curiosity has been raised along with your engagement and excitement to use some rubrics. So please remember to take the survey, and I'm going to jump off of here in a second and jump onto Twitter and see. I know it went off a few times. I had to quiet it down. So again, Twitter was #UDLPLN. So I'm going to jump on there next and see what all's going on. Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye.